Thank you very much, Patrick. Please have a seat. So time for discussion. Is there any comments, questions you would like to address to the panel?
Thank you very much for the interesting discussion from everyone. Just picking up from the Patrick's comments there, and it sort of links into the issues of big data, which the first speaker from Orange talked about as well. You say that users of digital technologies are producers, and as an economist, producers usually produce to make something, and they do so to then receive a return, usually a profit. But I'm not sure with big data how that happens. In other words, it seems the users are inputting data. The data, it seems, is being taken up anonymously, sure, but being taken up by Orange and other companies, which is then being used to sell on down the line. So the user is not getting a return. And I almost took it to be saying, you to be saying at the end that the return for the user is a right to privacy of the data. So I'm not quite clear in what economic sense users get a return other than simply a guarantee of privacy. And why should that data then be used to the benefit of the larger companies who essentially pay nothing for it other than setting up the platform for the transmission of data?
Okay, so maybe I take other questions like before. I rather take all questions and then you have a last chance to defend your case.
Hi, thanks. A quick question about the Uconnect trial that you talked about. I was wondering whether you identified some barriers to a larger scale deployment, or whether there are plans for such large scale deployments.
I wanted to make a comment. Again, it was a great panel, and it's been such a long day. I don't remember exactly whose comment it applied to, but it felt to me like some of the work that is being done with I think it was the person from Orange who sort of apologetically trying to make the case that, look, here are the reasons why you should share your data with us, because we can create value from your data. And I think that there's an instance in which if you were going to use contextual integrity, you would be better off, because you're merging the sharing of data. You're just treating all sharing of data alike. And I think that when you insist to yourself to say who the data is being shared with, then you can see that some sharing of data with X is perfectly fine. And so that when people are sharing data, and they're very particular that they're sharing data with X, like they're sharing data with Orange, that doesn't mean that they're giving away privacy, because it's very consistent with their expectations and with their norms. And so I don't think you have to see this as people giving up their privacy simply because they're sharing data, because they're sharing the data very much in keeping with the expectation, which is that the data is going to X. And so anyway, I think it can be helpful to you. And I wanted to make a comment about big data and all the benefits. Actually, it applies to some of these comments because I hear this a lot from a variety of groups. Don't be hard on big data because there's just so much benefit we can get from it. Look, we can see transportation, traffic jams, health tracking, epidemics in Africa and so on, and that's fine. I think that's really great. But that doesn't mean that you can do anything with big data. I don't see the logic of it. Suddenly, because you can help cure diseases in Africa, it's fine for the advertisers to do whatever they like with the data, because after all, big data is great, and we have to accept the harms for the benefits. Again, there's such illogic. I'm sorry, this isn't a question, it's just a comment, but if you're prepared to address it, I'd be delighted.
Thank you. It's very close to the question that Vincent raised in the last panel. Over. No? Okay. Oh. So 2-3 minutes.
So I must be a terrible speaker because that was not the message that I hoped to get through. I think that what we demonstrate with a project like D4D is that it can be good for some instance, and we're looking very carefully about how to share data in a way that is responsible and that is for some good, not going in any direction. When I was talking about the strategy of Orange, I said the first two categories were the priority, and we would be very careful and, you know, case by case, looking at how can we and should we go further in exploiting this data. So sorry if I was not clear enough. That is clearly the direction that we want to go. And on the user sharing for a purpose, there is, and it's also maybe address a little bit your question. There is, well, I mean, who produced the information? It's like a conversation. Who produced the conversation? Well, the two parties do. And so we also produce information that is, you know, collected when someone is making a conversation. So to some extent, this is partly also, you know, somehow belongs to Orange. Of course, there is all the question of privacy and opt-in and agreeing to share it. And in the dashboard that we are going, that we developed, that we will announce next month, which is part of the central, the middle piece of our strategy, showing to the user what he has as information and so on. There is one place where the user can explicitly say, I will share my data with this company. Not only just, you know, for commercial purpose, but also as a basis, as a seed to enabling him to say, okay, I want to give my data to, let's say, Pasteur Institute because they want to do some research about epidemic of some sort. So we put in place the infrastructure that will enable this possibility of feeling an ownership, sharing it with responsible means, not going in every direction. So, you know, it's a small step, but it's going hopefully in the right direction.
I would react on the comment about the return, what gets back the user when he provides his profile to his personal data to the service provider. In fact, what is happening today, the user gets back the personalization, the user gets back the service. You take the example of Google, you take the service for free. But what is missing here probably is that user has no control. So he's in front of a very qualitative choice. Either he takes this, either he enters into this game, and then he takes risk of privacy, either or he does not play at all. So what the missing element, in my opinion, would be is to allow to tune more in fine manner the consequences of what you are sharing with the service provider, how much you are sharing, and what can be derived behind exactly what you are sharing. So here, perhaps privacy-enabling technologies could provide some solutions to be able to tune the consequences of your privacy when you are communicating with the service provider.
Yes, maybe coming back also to this question, I like to comment on the question of ownership and transaction, because obviously what is at stake also, we're relying a lot on stocks of data, so there is a value, because if you have all the history of people, it's obviously has a value. But more and more, in fact, you will have what I call dynamic value, because obviously if you're sharing real-time data, we are talking, for example, of a location, etc. If after you're cutting your relationship with the your provider, basically there is for him no way, in fact, to make more transaction with you, and so you will not be able basically to do business after with you. So in this question around ownership, in fact, obviously there is a shift from ownership to usage, but I would say it's a good way for the individuals, because at the moment it seems that the transaction is not fair. I would say the term of the agreement is changing. He could basically opt out from the system, and the business in front of him basically will have no way, in fact, feedback to monetize more and more his data. Of course, you will have maybe some track records, but you will not be able in the future to display some ads, to put some services. So this kind of trade-off is maybe much more in favor of the individuals. And one other comment, because I didn't put it in my first statement, but I think there is a strong interest. We had the lady from the CNIL talking about education for data, and I think probably there will be businesses have also a role on that. Obviously, I would say the initiative from Orange is a very good way of providing a kind of feedback, a dashboard for that. And I say it regarding with a parallel from the financial services. For example, if you're providing today, if you want to sell some credits, so loans or credit to people, you have to be sure the person in front of you is able to understand basically what you're selling to him. Because obviously, if he's not capable basically to understand what are the implications of the loan, basically we'll have to reimburse it. You're not able as a business to sell it to him. And maybe in terms of data, at the moment we have talking to being able to share some data with a third party, because obviously you have the data that Orange will have, for example, on you, and you want maybe clicking on some other parties that could access to this data. You will have to create this kind of education level, basically, that people are understanding what they are clicking on it. And I would say there is maybe also a responsibility, yes, businesses will have also to push further this kind of leveraging the level of understanding for the people.
Just to answer your question about Uconnect, it's very simple. The use case we implement, it was based on registration, and each user registered just once per service. So there was no recurring usage at all. So at least no business model. Even if the service provider was ready to pay for the service, but one registration per user per service, at the end of the day, it's almost no money. So to move forward, we have to rely on recurring API, recurring usage.
Let me talk a little bit more about technical stuff. I'm not a computer scientist, but we are working within the share. We have this vision or this understanding that perhaps it's possible with purely technical means to grant licenses to data usage, meaning that if you want your data to be accessed, if you want to access that you would authorize your data to be shared with your friends or your family members, there should be a program or a license that authorize the company with whom you have shared, you have agreed to share this data. If you want to share your health data with a physician, you should also have a license that could do that, and etc. So I think that this could be implemented through licenses. It could be also implemented through technology and privacy by design.
Okay, so thanks a lot. We stay on time. Thank you to the panel.